how or why did you end up leaving the industry?
I have one friend who she got into the industry. She's like a MILF performer.
Yep.
So she got into the industry probably like 10, 15-ish years ago, actually, too. And she did one of the first ever like stepson, stepmom scenes ever in history. It kind of started the trend, actually. She was one of the ones who started it. She hates that fact, actually, if you talk to her. Because she actually has kids herself. As her career progressed, the MILF stuff, that's all she could get work doing. All she could get work doing was being the stepmom, all that creepy shit going on. So she decided, okay, well, I don't want to do this kind of stuff. What else can I get work for? And then the only other option she had was to do really extreme physical stuff. So like BDSM, like really, really physically demanding stuff. So she was stuck between the rock and a hard place. So she ended up getting out of the industry. And that's another sort of dark side of the industry, is it getting typecast into these really fucking creepy roles. For both people, I mean, I got typecast as I'm the creepy uncle.
Oh, nice.
I got typecast.
What's up,
the other way around. The other way around, right? I'm the creepy, coercive, like blackmailing guy. Like that's who I get cast as. No one ever just makes normal. Like there's no such thing nowadays as like, oh, man and woman find each other attractive. That doesn't exist anymore.
They go on date.
Yeah,
they go back home.
Doesn't happen.
They enjoy a nice dinner.
Doesn't happen anymore. There's got to be some blackmailing going on, some coercion, murder. They're related somehow.
Yes, down the line.
This has to be like the norm now for some reason. So that I think that's another like really dark, twisted side of the industry that doesn't get talked about enough, and I think it's a real issue. And unfortunately, from the performer side of things, there's not really much we do about it or can do about it. It's like, well, it's either no work or you get the work that you're given. The directors as well. The directors are that's the scripts they're given to shoot. It's not their decision. The decisions are higher up.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a shitty situation.
Interesting one that you mentioned higher up now. There is like, who owns the porn companies? Like there's like, I've seen some Illuminati conspiracies, you know, and I'm well, after the last couple of years, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
So who owns all this? Like, cause, and this brings it on to the next question, the effect that it has on our brains. But first, who owns all these industries?
Also, the biggest, there's two major players in the porn industry. The biggest one is a company called MindGeek. They're a Canadian company. They actually changed owners recently. But MindGeek own Hub, and they also own about 10, I think it's about 10 other like what we call tube sites. So sites like Hub, where you can get all this free stuff.
Yeah.
They also own some of the biggest studios on the planet, like Brazzers. I think they also own Reality Kings, maybe, or maybe it's Bang.
And are these physical studios as well?
Well, I used to, so when we say studio, we mean, I should say brands.
Okay, brand, yeah.
So it's basically a website, you know, .com, whatever, that's the brand, and they will shoot content under that brand. And you know, different brands have somewhat different styles and niches, if you want to get technical. But so the overarching company, MindGeek, and then you have Hub and all the tube sites, and then you have the brands underneath that. So they're the ones cranking it all out, and they're doing it. It's like you have to ask the question: okay, are they doing it based upon like search, or are they kind of the same way that Google will prioritize certain content in their search algorithm over other content? Okay, is it a case of like people are searching for stepbrother fuck, or is it because this stuff is getting pushed into an algorithm when they search for other things?
Yeah.
Do I know the answer to that? I don't. I wish I did know the answer to that. Now, you can freely Google the owners of MindGeek, and you can see who they are right now, and you can see who they were before recently. I've gotten into a lot of trouble 2 years ago, end of 2020. They got in a lot of trouble because they had all of this like abuse material on Hub, which they didn't take down, despite the victims of that material requesting it being taken down. And they were making ad revenue money off of it as well. Yeah. So now the MasterCard and Visa pulled themselves from so they don't associate with them now. And they wiped like something like giant, like millions and millions and millions of videos off the site. And now only people who have like uploaded their ID can upload content now. They should have been doing that from day one.
Yeah.
They should have been doing
Twitter
that from day one.
kind of doing that now as well with, you know, Elon Musk is reducing trolling and stuff, but definitely, you know.
Yeah. And I think internet pornography is this massive social experiment which is going to have very negative ramifications. especially on young men, on teenage boys and their brains. It's going to fuck up an entire generation.
So what do you think of this generation, girls and guys, doing OnlyFans now? Do you think they're not thinking long-term?
Yeah, I think they're thinking very short-term. If you look at the actual earning statistics on OnlyFans, it is something like the top 1% are making like 99% of their cash.
Yeah.
Like it's like any industry, but it's so saturated. And this happened during the pandemic, like during 2020. Everyone was sitting around at home. It's this perfect storm. All the dudes are sitting around at home with a dick in their hand, and all the girls got fired and are like, "Oh, I can make some money by flashing my on the internet." And they get sold the lie that it's easy money and you'll make 10 G's a month, no problem. That is not the case. The vast majority of creators on OnlyFans make, I think, less than $300 a month.
Oh, man.
Less than $200 a month, and they're flashing their titties around.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you've been sold a lie. The girls who've been doing this for a while, who've known the game, sure, new girls can come in and crush it. I'm not going to dispute that fact. But the vast majority of you are not going to do anywhere near the numbers you think you're going to do. And now this is a fingerprint that's going to be online forever. It's like, don't fall for the easy cash.
Yeah, don't fall for the glamorous lifestyle, and like you look at the 1% and you think, oh, that's the norm. But it's the exception, not the rule.
It's not the norm.
Yeah.